So, a few days ago, I was walking. I was walking around in my room, and suddenly an obstacle jumped out in front of me, and I stubbed my toe. I stubbed my toe on my bed frame, and this is a normal experience, right? Of course, I grunted in pain, but after a few minutes, I was fine, and I went on with my day until it happened again. I stubbed my toe just a few hours later on the same part of the bed frame, which isn't normally an issue for me. So then, of course, you start asking, why? Why am I stubbing my toe here when I normally do not? What is the cause going on here? And naturally, one of the implications of this question, why, is can I stub my toe without God? You see, in this life, everything has some type of reason. Well, perhaps not a reason, but everything has a cause. Nothing happens in this universe without a cause. This is the principle of causation. And this is something that we perhaps take for granted, but we intuitively understand it because it's something we must abide by and live our lives in reference to. We all understand that from our collective experience in this life, that events simply do not occur without some cause, right? Guns do not fire without a cause. Toes are not stubbed without a cause. Vases do not shatter without a cause. Video projects are not completed and turned in without a cause. Events simply do not occur all on their own. This is universally true, and it is never proven to be untrue. Now, it is the case that sometimes an event may occur, and we're not sure what exactly the cause was. We can't ascertain or pinpoint what was the cause for that event, such as somebody gets cancer. Sometimes we're able to say this is probably why they have cancer, but other times it seems that we can't find a reason. Um, we can't point to any specific habit or environmental factor or genetic mutation for why they have cancer. But the sheer fact they do have cancer tells us that there is some cause for the cancer, even if we don't know what the cause is. So, virtually everybody knows, understands, and accepts this, except when it comes to the idea of a first cause. And that is what caused the universe to begin? What caused life to begin on Earth? And what we're building up to is called the cosmological argument. And this is what I would like to present in this short video. And the argument runs like this. It's a three-point syllogism. Premise one is whatever began to exist has a cause. Premise two, the universe began to exist. And of course, the third part, the conclusion, therefore, the universe has a cause. Now, let's examine and look at premise one. Whatever began to exist has a cause. Um, in Newton's first law of motion, also referred to as the law of inertia, he stated that an object at rest tends to stay at rest, and an object in motion tends to stay in motion with the same speed and in the same direction unless acted upon by an unbalanced external force. See, Sir Isaac Newton noticed that without an external cause, there is no change. There's no effect upon the motion of an object. But this extends beyond simply its motion. The same can also be said about the creation of an object, the creation of anything for that matter. And there has to be some external source of causation for a thing to begin to exist. See, a thing that does not exist can, of course, in no way cause itself to start existing. Well, it can't do anything because it does not exist. And again, we intuitively understand this premise to be true in our day-to-day lives. But how much more so would how, excuse me, how strange would it be if premise one were seemingly not true? If it were suddenly not true? Because when I walk into my living room, I don't expect there to I don't expect for a pink elephant to pop into existence right in front of my eyes, nor an Eskimo village, nor any other object or person or occurrence or event to simply just happen without any cause at all. And further yet, if whatever began to exist did not need a cause, and that means that things could begin to exist without any such cause, what is to prevent objects or items or anything in this universe from ceasing to exist without a cause? If premise one were not true, then I don't see any reason why things shouldn't randomly blip out of existence every single day in our lives. Why do not rocks and planes and pink elephants and books and planets and solar systems, etc., why don't they come into existence and blip out of existence at every single moment? But as we live our lives, we notice that this is not the case, and whatever begins to exist has a cause. And I'm being rather thorough here because in every instance of our daily life, the whole of our experiences, all of our scientific observation, this premise is found to be true. Yet there is one instance that people want to deny its truthfulness. They want to have one major exception, and that is with the universe. This leads us into premise two. The universe began to exist. See, this idea is that some people hold the view that the universe is actually eternal and has always existed. It has always just been, and it never had a single beginning point. There was never a time that the universe did not exist. However, uh, this claim severely lacks evidence. It also has some philosophical issues dealing with the impossibility of actual infinites. And also, it is contrary to the leading to the leading scientific theory about the origin of the universe, the Big Bang theory. So let's talk about some of these. Number one, the impossibility of actual infinites. The idea that the universe has always existed, eternally existed, and has existed for an infinite amount of time in the past presents a real problem because, for one, entropy and the second law of thermodynamics. You know, over time, the amount of usable energy within an isolated system decreases until there is no more usable energy and motion stops. Now, that doesn't sound problematic until we realize that the same truth applies whenever we take the entire universe as an isolated system. Eventually, our universe will run out of usable energy. It would become cold and it will cease to move anymore. This is referred to as the heat death of the universe. And this presents an issue with the view that the Earth has always been, that it has existed for an infinite amount of time in the past. Because if the universe has existed for an infinite amount of time in the past, then this heat death would have already occurred, yet it has not. Now, there's, of course, more to discuss on this point. There's more particulars and more thorough argumentation to be had, but we're going to leave it there for now and move on. If you'd like to learn more, check out the topic of infinite regresses online and in your own time. And for perhaps a more thorough argumentation, explore the Cosmological Argument. Deals with a lot about the impossibility, the philosophical issues with infinite regresses. So, finally, for premise two, our last bit of argumentation and evidence, is according to the Big Bang theory, which is the leading scientific explanation for the origin of the universe began approximately 13.8 billion years ago from a single point called a singularity. Additionally, the universe seems to be expanding right now that we can observe in all directions, meaning that if we could reverse time, then the universe would appear to be shrinking down to a single point. This is how they came up with this idea. This implies that there was some point in time when the universe did not exist. There was at some point when the universe had a beginning. And if everything that has a beginning must have a cause, and the universe began to exist, then therefore the universe has a cause. Now, many are convinced and will happily agree that, of course, the universe has a cause, but we simply cannot know what that cause was or what that cause is. Now, from what we can gather, it seems that no physical matter existed prior to the beginning of the universe. So, whatever that first cause is, it has to be matterless. It cannot be physical in nature. And we should also ask, what would be a sufficiently powerful, non-material first cause that could have the agency to decide to create the universe? Well, the answer seems rather clear to me. We call this first cause God. Thanks for listening. And it seems that no, you cannot stub your toe without God, because you nor your toe would not exist.